You ever have one of those days when you walk into a place and you just know no matter what you say, no one's going to believe you belong there? That's how it started for me. Standing outside Naval Station Clearwater with nothing but a rain-soaked civilian jacket and an ID card so strange. Even the scanners looked confused. They made me wait by the fence like I was delivering pizza, barely glancing up from their phones, a few Snickers here and there, and you know what? I let them laugh, because time has a way of setting things right, just not always on your schedule. So I stood there, letting the rain soak through, barely shivering even though it was Florida and the cold was biting in a way only October can manage. The minutes crawled by, then hours. Every so often, someone would wander past and give me that look like I'd gotten lost on my way to the real world. Still, I waited because sometimes the only thing that gets you through is patience and the knowledge that soon nobody will be laughing. And then the alarm went off. Not your run-of-the-mill. Someone forgot their passcode alarm. This was chaos scramble, boots on the ground, radios crackling, the kind of commotion that makes seasoned sailors turn pale. A nuclear submarine, the likes of which no one at that base had ever seen, surfaced offshore massive, sleek, not even trying to hide. It didn't attack, didn't even hail. It just surfaced, rose from the depths like something out of a myth, and saluted. Yeah, you heard me. A salute. Every person who dismissed me just stood there, jaws on the floor. And that's when I finally spoke up, letting my voice cut through the mess. I am Echo Commander Talia Valeries. Let me back up a sec. Naval Station Clearwater looks like something out of a recruitment poster, white buildings lined up all neat, antennas everywhere, the Gulf sparkling just beyond the piers. The morning I arrived, the checkpoint was humming with the usual rhythm faces familiar to the guards, badges flashing, lots of nods and smiles. Then me, 40-something, plain as they come, navy blue jacket zipped up, hair pulled back in a no-nonsense bun. Only thing I carried was a small duffel. I could have been anyone, except, well, you know. Petty Officer Lamont sat up straight when I handed him my card, but the confusion on his face was unmistakable. My clearance? Let's just say it didn't show up on any list he knew. Soon enough, his supervisor, Lieutenant Radcliffe, showed up, skeptical as hell, thinking I was some paperwork screw-up. "What department are you reporting to?" he asked, already ready to move me along. "I'm here to meet with Captain Harson," I replied, and that got his attention, but not the kind you'd want. He told me to wait on a bench, said he'd make some calls, then promptly forgot about me. Most folks just ignored me after that. One or two glanced my way, maybe wondered if I was lost. But I sat still, watching every rotation of the guards, every gap in the perimeter. When you've spent as long as I have in the shadows, you notice the cracks before anyone else even knows they're there. Early afternoon, and Honora Torrance, just a junior officer, probably new enough to still care, walked over, asked if I needed anything. She had kindness, you could tell. Before I could answer, Lieutenant Commander Blackwood swooped in, all business, ordering her away and giving me the 3rd degree. "Who are you here to see?" "Captain Harson." "Your name?" "Valeries. Talia Valeries." He didn't like that answer, not one bit, but there wasn't much he could do except tell me to wait some more. By the time the clouds rolled in and the rain started, I'd become invisible again. Nobody likes an unsolved puzzle, so they just set it aside. Still, I waited, shivering only on the inside, refusing to show a hint of discomfort. It wasn't until evening that Captain Harson himself finally showed up, irritated, running on fumes from a day full of briefings. He looked me up and down, demanded my ID, got even more annoyed when the system spat out nothing. "Who are you?" "I'm here under Protocol Echo." He laughed, called it nonsense, had the MPs haul me off for interrogation. Let me tell you, those rooms are designed to break people. Cold metal, bright lights, everything calculated to make you feel small. But I've been in worse places. They grilled me for hours, demanding to know who I was, how I got a clearance that didn't exist. They threatened, cajoled, tried to trip me up with details. I gave them nothing they could use, only what they needed. "I am Echo Commander, United States Navy, here under Protocol Echo." They didn't believe me. Why would they? But here's the thing, sometimes you don't have to convince anyone. Sometimes you just have to wait for the world to catch up to the truth. That night, as I sat alone in the visitor quarters, basically a glorified holding cell. But with better sheets, I finally allowed myself to relax. I checked my watch, rolled up my sleeve, just enough to see the mark on my wrist, a pattern no one else recognized, but which would mean everything to the right people. I thought about the years I'd spent in the dark, the sacrifices made, and wondered if any of it would ever make sense to anyone but me. Dawn came with news, something massive, unidentified, approaching fast. The whole base went on high alert. They tried to lock me down, but I convinced the guards to bring me to the main observation deck. By the time I got there, the scene below was pure adrenaline. Troops fanned out along the shore, weapons ready, officers barking orders into radios. Captain Harson was right there, demanding answers. Before I could respond, the sub surfaced, black and silent, and every eye on that deck turned to me. The salute from that submarine wasn't just for show. It was protocol, a signal recognized only by a handful of people in the world. As the flag unfurled on the conning tower, I stepped forward, feeling every pair of eyes burning into me, and I told them what I'd never wanted to say out loud. I am Echo Commander Talia Valeris. Protocol Echo was established in 1982 to ensure command continuity if every other system failed. We exist in the shadows, and today the shadows came to call. You could have heard a pin drop. That was the moment everything changed. Helicopter blades thundered overhead, a bird from Naval High Command, no less. Admiral Westlake himself stormed onto the deck, saluted me, confirmed my identity in front of everyone. Orders were given me, authority was now absolute. The looks on the faces of those officers? Shock, a little embarrassment, but most of all, awe. They finally understood that sometimes the real power doesn't need a visible badge. The next few hours were a blur of briefings and rapid-fire updates. The truth came out. The Echo Commander program was real, a Cold War relic kept off the books, reserved for threats nobody wanted to believe could happen. And now, that threat was here. Some Shadow Coalition had stolen next-generation tech that could cripple the entire fleet with a single pulse. I was there because the regular chain of command was already compromised. Twist is the junior officer who first spoke to Meth 1, everyone else ignored, was personally requested to join the mission. Turns out, seeing people as human counts for more than rank sometimes. By the time I boarded the Phantom, Sentinel, the most advanced submarine on the planet, I'd been given command over an operation that would never make the news, but could decide the fate of half the country. The crew knew their business. No medals, no glory, just purpose. As we slipped beneath the waves, leaving only a ripple behind, I looked at my new communications officer, and she asked, "How long have you been Echo Commander?" I told her 17 years. Most of it invisible. Sacrifices unmarked, victories uncelebrated. You know, the ocean always remembers. Even when people forget, even when they doubt, the truth is they're waiting for the right moment to surface. And as our sub cut silently through the dark, I knew this. Maybe tomorrow we'd save the fleet. Maybe we'd vanish in a legend again. But for one brief moment, every person who ever doubted learned what happens when you underestimate the power of the invisible. Yeah, that happened. And now, let me ask you, who gets to decide what's real, who belongs, who deserves to be believed? Ever seen someone get dismissed, only to become the one everyone relies on when it counts? Share your take below. Right or wrong, justice, or just another power game. Let's hear it.